over to a Christmas party he was having. So went to the party. He ended up calling me into his room, and he showed me a check.
And that was a big check.
Yeah. It was,
and you're like, oh, my God, this is it.
I said, you made this? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And that's what it did. So I went on ahead and took the test.
Hi guys, welcome for another episode of Let's Keep It Real Now. We were out for a little bit. We decided to take a break like everybody else so we can enjoy the summer. And now we are back.
We're back.
And today I have a very, very special guest that I really want to reintroduce you to. You probably already know him, but I just want to make sure I give him the grand entrance, the red carpet. So this is someone who is a father, a husband, a believer, and very, very, very passionate about his business and his job in general. And his ultimate goal in life is to make sure that he get the job done with the best and smooth process as possible for his client and customer. It's the one and only Jabbie with AMP Lending.
Hey. Do it again. Nah, thank you for having me, Danielle. I know we do the podcast together, but I have my own little segment. I definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is the lender behind a lot of my deal.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to make sure you guys can really get to know him because I talk too much. The little bird told me I talk too much during the podcast. So I was like, okay, let's flip that around and see if my friend Abu can introduce himself to you. But tell me, how long have you been in the business of lending, my friend?
Yeah, so I've been lending now going on 18 years. Basically what happened with me, went to college, went to Sam Houston State, graduated with a degree in
The Texan baby.
Yeah. Had a degree in criminal justice with a minor in sociology, and basically hit the job market, and the job market was just slow. It was slow. It was hard to get a job. I wanted to work with CPS, with helping with kids and things like that, because I'm a helping person, and it was just tough. So I was doing little dead-end jobs, customer service, working for Radisson as a security. Shout out to Radisson Hotel for hiring me as well as a supervisor. Was over there for a couple of years with that, and just trying to figure it out. Trying to see, where I could go. I was depressed for a while. Wasn't coming outside. Would stay in the house, be reserved, because I was just down. I went to college. I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. Thought by the time I get out, I'll be working like the rest of my friends were, and that just wasn't the thing in my case. So started playing basketball with one of my best friends, Andre Fields. Shout out to Andre Fields. Started going to play basketball every Saturday. I would take my son out there with me, and it was a gentleman out there. And he came to me and he was like, hey, man, you ever thought about becoming a loan officer? I was like, nah, I've never thought about that. He was like, you should, give it a look. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. It's been good to me. You should try it out. And I was like, well, we'll see. Never got to it. So some time went on. We were still playing basketball. We started to develop a relationship. And he invited me over to a Christmas party he was having. So went to the party. He ended up calling me into his room, and he showed me a check.
And that was a big check.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my God, this is it.
I said, you made this? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And that's what it did. So I went on ahead and took the test, passed it the first time, and I started working with him and his wife. His name's Bernard Lee. Shout out to Bernard Lee, too. I still talk to him to this day, and I always thank him. Hey, you're the reason why I got in the business, and look at me now. So started working with him. It was tough. It was hard.
Of course, because it's 100% commission-based type of business.
Oh, my God. gosh.
How hard it is for lenders. We know how hard it is for real estate agent, but how hard it is for lenders.
Man, it's very hard, because with the realtors, for one, I mean, back then when I got into the business, people weren't trying to, go out and get realtor business. What we were doing, they were buying leads, and it was a lot of refinance that we were doing. So we were cold calling people, just trying to get that one yes. You'll make 100 calls, 150 calls a day, and you're just looking to try to get 2 or 3 people out that day. And then we were doing that for a while, and it was just tough. It was tough to make a living out of it. Shout out to my wife. At the time, she was my girlfriend, and if it wasn't for her support, I don't know if I would have been able to hang in that long. But yeah, she definitely had my back, and we did that for a while. And, I ended up working with them going on probably about 6 years and leaving them and then going to another company where we were doing the same thing. But at this time, I was starting to pick it up, and I was getting a hang of it. So started making a little bit more money. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it's making sense now. It's making sense. And did that with Brian and them, worked with them for probably about 2 years. And that was cool. That was
okay.
Cool.
So in general, for lender, how did lender find their customer or the client? How did you guys get your client?
Yeah, so basically what we started doing, we switched our motto and we started going towards realtors like yourself. So basically what we do, we try to develop relationships with realtors. We try to let our families and friends know exactly what we're doing, if they need help, if they know anybody that needs help. So everything is really referral, but the bulk of our business comes from the realtors that we develop relationships with.
Okay.
So basically what we try to do is just explain to them the customer service, how we do our job, following up with clients, just trying to let the realtor know that thank you for sending your business to me. I know that I'm representing you, and when I'm dealing with the client, I'm going to try to go above and beyond for that client to be able to assist them in the manner that I can.
What are the difference, because not all lenders are equal, right? So what are the difference between lenders in general? If we are a realtor out there, or we are a customer and we're looking to purchase a home or refi, what's some of the things that you need to pay attention in order for you to know if this, outside of just rate, right? Because a lot of people just look at rate point blank. But outside of that, what's other things that people need to look into in order to make the decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. When it comes to a loan officer and mortgages, you want to look at the company. You want to look at the company that the loan officer is working with and the structure that they have.
Okay.
You have to have that system that flows. So in my case, with the company that I'm with, A&P Lending, been working with them now going about 13 years. What you want to do is you want to be able to have bosses that care about what they do as well. So they put in place, we have a compliance department. We have an appraisal desk. We're a broker company, so we have over 9 to 10 investors that we work with that we're able to price loans with.
So hold on for that part. Hold that thought. What does that mean exactly? Because some people don't understand what are you talking about, investor. So what's the difference between Chase Bank, who's offering loan, and A&P Lending, who's offering loans?
So with the Chase Bank, you're just dealing with Chase Bank. So whatever products and services that they offer, that's what you're dealing with primarily. So
and they're the one that will procure the loan.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they're a one-stop shop. Versus with A&P Lending, you're dealing with 10 to 11 banks. So it's just not one. We have 11 different investors, 9 different investors, 10 different investors that we work with, and we're able to shop the deal around. So depending upon the client and what type of situation that they're in, we can find an investor that suits that criteria that would be able to assist the client. So we have a wider variety of people that we're able to deal with to be able to get clients approved.
So that's why, for example, some people, they can go to a big bank and they get rejected, or maybe a credit union, they get rejected. But if they come with you, because you do have different quote investors, they have their own criteria and their own underwriting company. They can be a little bit loose with some things than others.
Exactly, which you've experienced a lot.
I know I do.
Yeah. So with clients that come with me with different situations that are going on, and depending upon the situation, I might have an investor that specialize in that area, so I'm able to get it done, or I'm able to get an exception because I have a relationship with an investor that I send a lot of business to. So there's different things that you have. So what you want to deal with is a loan officer that works for a great company, and also a loan officer that actually cares about what they actually do. They're just not here just trying to push paper to make a living. They actually care about the clients. They care about and respect the realtor that's giving them the business, and basically just creating this family oriented circle where everybody's helping everybody out.
And what's the difference between local versus national lender? What would you advise on that? Because some broker that just right here in town, for example, you guys, if you work with me, I do have my list of lender that I recommend. Abu is one of them, and all of them are local.
Top one.
All of them are local, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Is there any difference between an international, a national company or with another lender out of state and versus you in state and here in Houston?
Yeah, so basically you have some companies out there that are nationwide. They're able to operate in all 50 states.
Okay.
So with that type of accessibility, you have somebody that's able to have different branches in different places where they're making more money. You might have just a local shop where they're a little bit more smaller and they just have branches in Houston or branches in Austin or in the surrounding area. So yeah, there is a little difference into that, but as far as services and what you're able to do, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
It's all the same.
But I would like to talk about the difference because I have experienced several times. I had buyers, so sometime when I represent the other side, the listing, and the buyer decide to go with a lender in another state. Texas has its own law.
True.
Who are very different with other states. Some state, for example, they can take what we call a quick claim deed and then you can just transfer the property like that. And Texas doesn't do the same thing.
Exactly.
And then one time this lender from out of state decided to pre-approve the buyer who was trying to offer on my listing. The problem is the buyer was married. The problem also was the spouse was in another place. If they're separated for 15 years, she has no idea where her husband or strange husband was, right? And then now it was time for her to purchase a home, and then as the conversation was going, she said, "Oh, I'm married, but I'm separated." I said, "Oh, but the spouse would have to come sign," and she's like, "Well, there's no way you can sign because it's not there." I said, "What?" And I call her lender, and to be sure, I say, "Hey, do you know she's married?" It's like, "Yeah, but the spouse is not here." In Texas, the spouse needs to sign in order for her to purchase the property, right? She's buying it as a primary residence. And then he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I'm like, I'm telling you, the title company, and then as a lender, you should know that, but he didn't know, So that's one bad experience that I have. Or another time, I realized a lot of the people out of state, they don't always know all the laws that we have down here. Where I prefer recommend a client to someone who is local.
Yeah,
they know how laws and regulation, and you can also come. They can come and knock on your door and sit down with you on a meeting and stuff like that. Yeah. That's my preference.
Yeah, and that's totally different, right? So you have companies that are nationwide that have branches in each state, and they're touching them where people can actually walk in those locations. And then you do have some banks out there where they're licensed to do business in Texas, but they never set foot in Texas, right? So they don't do that much business in Texas.
So they're not aware
of everything. Not aware of the laws or what's changed or how things have come up. So they're only used to the rotation and the things that they've been doing in their particular state that they originate in. So in those situations, most definitely, I wouldn't advise somebody that's doing a loan in Texas to have a loan officer from Maryland do their actual loan for them. Because a lot of problems can come up like in your situation.
Which type of question that a buyer should be asking a lender to make sure they understand the loan or things of that nature? Which type of question that anybody out there should know they should be able to ask the lender to have the right answer for them?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, what I feel is when you have a good loan officer that's there, they're going to be able to see your situation and ask you the right questions, right? As a buyer, a lot of people, you don't have experience. Your family's growing. It's time for you to move. All you know is that you need a home.
Yeah.
So you're going into the situation blindly. When you have a good loan officer that's there, they're going to be able to walk you through that process and advise you on every step of the process to where you're not in the dark on any side of the transaction. But as far as just understanding, the beginning parts of a loan, I mean, a buyer would want to know what's the difference between FHA and conventional.
Yeah.
Right? You'll want to ask those questions, or what's your qualifying score? Or what does your company charge for their services? If I'm doing an application over the phone and I'm wanting to pull your credit, do I have to pay this charge up front, or is this something that I can pay for later?
Are you doing a soft pull, or
are you doing a soft pull or a hard pull?
What's the difference between the soft and the hard?
So with the hard pull, which is what we do initially, we pull your credit and there's an actual inquiry on your credit report, right? When there's a soft pull, basically all you're doing is pulling the credit, but there's no inquiry on there. So once you get your credit report, there's not an inquiry stating that so-and-so went to so-and-so business to get their credit pulled to look at it, and now the bureau's taking away points from your actual score.
So the hard pull give you more information than the soft, correct? Okay.
It gives you more information, but it does, depending upon on how many hard pulls you get during that billing cycle, it can take points away from your credit.
So that's why it's always good to not pull your credit more than 3 times within 30 days if you're shopping around, right?
Yes, ma'am. 3 times. And with us, once we pull your credit that one time, we can do soft pulls up until 120 days after we pull it. So you don't have to worry about that with A&P lending.
When a client comes to you, do they tell you how much they would like to have as a loan, or you tell them? How does that work? Do they say, hey,
it's different.
I want to have $1 million, buy $1 million home, get me a loan, or how does that work?
It's different. It depends on the person. You have some people that come and they know what they want off the top.
Okay.
I want $1 million house. I want this. I want this in it. I want this location. I want that. And then when you pre-qualify them, sometimes you have to tell them you're not able to afford that amount.
But you will not tell somebody the maximum they could be approved. You just tell them what they will have based on what they want.
It depends.
But based on their finances.
It depends on the client, right? So if the client comes to me and they want to know, hey, what's the max amount that I can be pre-approved for? I advise them and give them that information.
Okay.
But as I'm giving them that information, I'm also letting them know that, hey, looking at your financial situation, you going for that highest amount that you qualify for might not be in your favor, because it's not just about you being able to be qualified for the house that you're purchasing. You also have to have money put up for rainy days, right? You also have to have money put up for security and things that just come up. So depending upon the client and their situation, I advise accordingly.
Okay. So how soon someone can contact you if they're thinking about buying, or how soon someone can contact a lender? Do 30 days before moving out, 6 months before, 2 years before? What's your advice?
You can call it any time. No time is a bad time. What I would advise clients to do is call at least 60 days before that they know that they want to move, because basically once you start, if you're able to qualify, the process starts quick, right? Now, depending upon if you know that, hey, I'm just getting out of bankruptcy, or I have a judgment on my credit report, and those things, yeah, you're going to want to contact the lender, let's say 6 months before, so you'll be able to have a game plan to know what are the rules and what situations I need to go through and able to be qualified to purchase a house when my lease is up. So it just depends on the person and the situation, but typically 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months. or a little bit before. And then what some of the do's and don't you should not do when you have your pre-qualification letter or your pre-approval letter with your lender?
Yeah. So once you've been pre-qualified, some of the things that you do not want to do, you do not want to go out there and start making purchases, right?
No.
You do not want to start making purchases. You got qualified and you're like, you know what? I can just go ahead and run up my credit card and do this. No, because once that happens, that's going to change your monthly payment for your credit card. We all know that with your credit cards, depending upon how much you owe, that creates your monthly balance. So because I pre-qualified you at one amount, now time has went on. Let's say you weren't able to find a house in an adequate time frame. Now I have to go back and revisit and pre-qualify you again.
Meaning pull your credit
and
report again.
Exactly. I have to pre-qualify you again. And once I do that, now there's a different payment. Now your DTI is higher. Now the house that you could buy
what's
before
the DTI?
you could buy. I'm sorry. Yeah, DTI stands for debt to income ratio. So that's a big key here in the lending world. You don't ever want your DTI to go over 50% because then you don't qualify to buy the house.
So 50% without the house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if you make $1,000 a month, then all your expense, your debt monthly payment are over $500.
Correct. Somewhere into there. But basically, what we do is we look at your income, we look at all the debt that you have, we look at the type of house that you're trying to qualify to get, and with all those things in combination, your numbers can't go over 50%.
What are you thinking about what's going on right now with the rate? I have that question a lot. Are the rate going to go down, Danielle?
Yeah.
Let's look at the guru over here and answer that question.
If I had a crystal ball and was able to look in it and be able to tell people, yeah, rates are going down, it's so-and-so time, I'll be a rich guy. But the reality of it is, we're living in today's norm now, right? Inflation is high. Things cost more, and that's no different when it comes to homes. House prices are skyrocketing. They're going up. They're coming down a little bit, but they're definitely up higher than what they have been in the prior years. And with that, we also have interest rates that are going up, and we've never had that. It's always either or, right? It's either prices of houses are going up and interest rates are going down, or prices of houses are going down and interest rates go up. That's how it typically works. But now we have both. So, it's slowing down business, but what the consumer needs to know and understand that this is the new norm. So there's going to be areas that you have to cut back in, right? If you want to go out to these wonderful restaurants twice and 3 times a week, you're going to have to cut back on that. You're going to have to cut back. Depending upon what you're trying to acquire, how you're trying to live, all that's going to go according to how much income you're bringing in. So right now what I'm seeing is a lot of people being more disciplined, being more money conscious, and watching how much they're spending. But with the rates in itself, they're going to stabilize and the market will fix itself. It's going to correct itself.
Mm-hmm. In 18 years in the business, could you tell me on some of the crazies that you've seen? I'm sure you got to have some story. You got to tell the story.
I mean, where do I start?
Some crazy things that you've seen.
And I've seen a situation where I was dealing with a client, right? The client calls me early in the morning, right? Just about 8 o'clock. I think I even discussed this with you before. She's like, oh, my God, I was supposed to close on my house. And for some reason, at the closing table, they said that I wasn't going to be able to close. And I just need some help. I got my child. It's me and my child. And we don't have anywhere to go. I need some help. This was a Friday. So I told the lady to calm down. I said, listen, you've called the right person. I said, first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to look at your file, and I'm going to see what we can do, right? I said, you have my word. I said, if I can do the deal, I'm going to tell you up front that I can do it. If I can't, I'll let you know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, looked at the deal. like, well, I don't understand what the problem is. The lady had the income. The lady had the funds in the bank. Everything was there. So I called the sales rep. This was a D.H. Harden home. I called the sales rep that I had a relationship with. And I'm like, why do you guys turn this lady down? I was like, she's good to go. She was like, look, if you can do it, go ahead. So we started. Did the file, turned everything in, went through underwriting, got it approved, right? Got the approval back, and the underwriter is questioning her bank statements.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I go back and I look at the bank statements, and I'm like, okay, everything looks fine to me. Everything looks right? So I go back to the underwriter and I resubmit it, and I'm like, look, these are her bank statements. This is what she sent. Let's see what we can do. Well, there's some dates missing, right?
Uh-oh.
So I go back to the bar and I'm like, hey, go back to the bank. We're missing some dates. Get those itemized dates to me and let me submit that to the underwriter. She comes, she gives them to me. I submit it. Everything's cool, right? But at this time, the money's a little short to close.
Uh-oh.
Right? So I have to go back to her to show me some more bank statements. Well, she sends me the bank statements. I submit it to the underwriter. Now, the bank statements are a penny. Well, I think it was like 3 pennies off.
Uh-oh.
Right? As far as, so, you have your ending balance and you have all your itemized charges showing money coming out and money going in. Well, she was falsifying her bank statements.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, she was falsifying her bank statements. The investor found out. The investor thought I was in on it, right? I'm furious because, I take my job serious. We have a license. You can report us to the state, and we can lose our license, right? So I'm going back to the bar, and I'm like, hey, what happened? She's like, she's crying, and she's like, no, I don't know what they're talking about. This is my bank account, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, look, this stuff is off. And then she finally comes out, and she's like, you know what? I'm sorry, but I paid somebody to do my bank statement.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it was done pretty good, but the person didn't know correct math because she would have had the house if the 3 pennies was there, guys. But, yeah, she missed it. So
that's a federal.
That was crazy. That was crazy. So they didn't allow me to submit some loans to that investor for some while, but after some time I got to talking with my boss and we're able to start submitting files back there. But, yeah, man, I have all kind of stories, man. At the end of the day, guys, listen, do things the right way. The way that this mortgage thing works, there's different steps, and there's so many different people's eyes that are on your documents and your files that if you're doing something that's not right, you will get caught. It's going to come out.
That's what the underwriter are here. They're the police.
I call them the FBI. I call them the FBI. If things don't add up, I'm just a messenger. They're going to find out, and it's going to come down. So you might as well address it in the beginning, and let's see if we can go ahead and tackle it. And if we can't, then everybody go their separate ways. But let's not waste time thinking that you're going to be able to pull something over somebody because you're looking to achieve what you want.
Yeah, and the underwriter, they tend to frustrate people a lot during the transaction. And it's true. It's buying a home or even selling it is one of the things that is very stressful in people's life in general. Yeah. And then so when the underwriter keep asking you the same question over and over, asking you 20 times for your bank statement, it's not personal.
It's not personal.
They just need to make sure the information are correct.
It's not that I lost your bank statements. It's none of that. I'm just asking for what the underwriter wants us to give them. And that's just basically it. I mean, this is going to be the biggest purchase that you've ever done. So people aren't going to lend you $300,000. That's no small money just by that. There's going to be criteria and things that you have to follow to be able to show that you're able to pay that money back. And that's all the underwriter's job is. They assess the risk and they see who can afford it and who can't, and that's just what it is.
So tell me, when you're a loan officer, you probably put a lot of hours, right?
Yes.
You work on the weekend too?
I work every day. every day. I'm glued to my phone. My wife is always on me, like, put the phone down, and I'm obsessed with work. So when my phone rings, I'm picking it up. I'm returning calls. I'm taking applications. At the end of the day, it's a customer service-based type job, and that's what I pride myself on. I don't have commercials. I don't have billboards out here. So I try to set myself apart from everybody else by showing great customer service. Don't we all love Chick-fil-A?
Oh, yes, we do.
Huh?
Yeah.
Why do we love Chick-fil-A? They have a good product, but what else do they do?
Customer services.
Oh, my God.
So with that said, how's your family dynamic?
My family dynamic as well. I mean, my wife, she's an accountant, right? So she works a corporate job, and then at the same time, she has what they call close week, right? Mm-hmm. So during close week, we know mom's going to be gone for a while because she might leave home at 9 o'clock and don't come back home till 8. So daddy's cooking, daddy's making sure that the kids are doing their homework, daddy's making sure that the kids take a bath, brush their teeth, and get them in bed. It's all teamwork. With my job, it's more flexible. So I can go and come as I please. If I need to go pick my child up from school, I'm able to run and go pick my child up from school. If I have to take them to the doctors, I'm able to do that. So I think it's the best of both worlds, right? And in this thing that we call life, we're able to take care of the family and give them things that they want and provide a good lifestyle for them.
Well, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So if people wants to get a hold of you, they already know you've been here forever.
Yeah. Just call me on my phone, 281-520-0015. I mean, again, like I said, and I keep saying it, I love what I do. I go above and beyond for my clients. Any of you guys out there that ever done business with me know my integrity, know how much I care about what I do, and that's basically it for me. I'm gonna fight for my clients and make sure we get the job done.
Well, let me tell you personally what I think about you. What I like about Abu is he think outside the box.
Yeah.
I brought him a lot of times some serious cases.
Yeah.
And then he think outside the box. You oversee what could happen, and you get everything up front, even if the underwriter doesn't necessarily needs it. But he got everything right there, and then he submit what he needs to submit, and he got the other one. He just holding them on the side until it comes up. So that help move the needle, and they help close on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's what all the realtor want and buyer want.
Yeah.
Make sure we get the loan and we close on time.
Put money in your pocket. You're gonna always remember somebody that puts money in your pocket.
Always. That's the business we're in, right?
Yes, it is. So at the end of the day, you have to understand your audience and, just do your job.
Final word?
Love, man. Everybody lead with love. Life is tough. Life is hard. We have a lot of obstacles and a lot of things that we have to absorb in this thing that we call life. But love gets us through everything. Gets us through everything.
Okay, guys. So that was a podcast of the day. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Abu, and you were able to see and touch his heart. He's a really good person, and I love working with him. And then
thank you, Danielle.
You take advantage of it. I don't say that every day, right? I'm not that emotional. So okay, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.